Hello. Hi. Okay, I'm making this video kind of like podcast style because I feel like this is going to be quite long and I didn't feel like speeding this one up, partly because I am lazy and I have other assignments to do, but also because I am lazy and I don't it takes me a while to speed things up and add captions to it and having to listen to it over and over again to kind of decipher what I've said. But if you end up getting to the end of this video, I'm going to be very happy and I appreciate you for your efforts and dedication. Today was a very ish day. And I wasn't very connected to the sermon. It's Sunday, the sermon today at Coastline, so I wasn't feeling very emotional. But also, Sean was just here, and we're just very silly with each other, so we weren't really being very philosophical or in our feels talking about anything. And lately I've been grasping more at sort of positivity and just reaching for more happiness and neutrality in my life because I feel like for a period of time I was very negative or just being surrounded by negativity and not really being heard in a way where it was neutral and rational, but more kind of feeding my negativity. So and also I just got very emotional because I opened my computer and the other day I was listening to multo, but like the orchestral version and the stripped down version for that new Anne Curtis movie. And I don't remember what it is, but it's like it has a very beautiful cover, but I don't know if I will watch it. But that version is so beautiful of Multo. Nothing, I really, really like it. But I was listening to that the other day, and then I just went down this rabbit hole of listening to a bunch of orchestral versions of modern Filipino, like, love, sad songs, so Mapa and Tibok. But palagi came up, and this is why I'm making this video. Oh my goodness, we're at 3 minutes already. Okay, crazy. But palagi came up, and that was my most played song last year. I've never told anybody how much this song actually means to me, and I think that's why I'm making this video, because it's such a crucial part of my life. And every time I hear that song, I think my heart just slows down. My heartbeat slows down, and I don't know. I used to say that when my heartbeat slows down, it feels like I'm being taken back. It's trying to run back to a time when it felt close to something. But this time, with this song, it feels different. It feels like it's slowing down because it's telling me to slow down and just be grateful for the things that I have in my life. So the story is, when I first moved to Victoria, it's been over a year now since I moved here, which is kind of crazy. And lately I've been just sitting in moments in chaos and just wondering how in the world did I end up here, and how on earth I could have gotten so lucky to be surrounded by so many loving people. And that song, hearing it again, it just made me think about that. So about a year ago, I was sitting in my dorm room in cluster, and this was before I had met anybody from AB or Bayanihan. So this was in between January 3rd and January 8th. Oh, I think this was either January 7, 8, or 9. Because I remember it being right before the Bayanihan event where everything started. If you know the story, then you know the story. But right before I left Seattle, I was listening to this song a lot in the car, and I remember the first time I listened to it was when my older sister Roxanne, my dad has a Cybertruck, so you can go on YouTube in the back and just play any song. The one feature I like about this Cybertruck is the YouTube. Because Bluetooth is so annoying, and I just don't want to go through the hassle of doing all that in a car. So I would never go on Bluetooth when I was driving because it took too long and I could never figure it out. So I would have the radio off and just play from my phone, which was really annoying because my phone would die. Or I would also have Google Maps up, and there was so much going on. And my brain couldn't handle everything all at once. So my older sister would play that song on YouTube in the Cybertruck, and I just remember it being just so beautiful, and no part of me knew that it was going to be such a big part of my life, this song. But I think, I don't know, it felt like things in my brain were sparkling, like diamonds were falling down from the sky when I was hearing this song for the first time. And then I would play it in the car every time after that. But in doing that, it tied my heart to this song, to this place. So my heart, whenever I hear this song, you know what? Maybe it is trying to take me back to a time when I was in that Cybertruck in Seattle, just being with my family, listening to this song together. And and it's a song about loving somebody forever, for always, palagi. Oh my goodness. But maybe that is why, now that I think about it, that whenever I think of this song, I think of all the Filipino people that I met post-graduation outside of that friend group. But so Red Ribbon, I always think about my coworkers there. And that was my first ever customer service job. And it was the most beautiful place, filled with beautiful people. And I had nothing else going on in my life. So coming to work felt like such a privilege and honor. And I just looked forward to it every day. And even after my shift, I would stay for hours on end. But also, that was around the time where there were a bunch of guys coming up to me that would either work there or would visit the bake shop and try to flirt with me. And I would always give them my number and we would go on dates, but it was not good for me. That also tied me to the place, and I also think about them when I hear the song. And just Jollibee and all of those coworkers, all of those workers that I ended up having a crush on but never ever talking to, actually. And there's this guy, his name is Geddy, sometimes I call him. He lives in Seattle, He's very annoying and he thinks of me as his older sister. But at the time, because I was so lonely, I used it's so terrible. I used our friendship as a potential romance. But I digress. um but he would be at a lot of the other Filipino events that I was at. So I would just talk to him. But I'm very grateful for his friendship nonetheless. I should probably call him soon, but he gives me a headache whenever I call him. But I do love him a lot. I should call him. Anyways, I also think about him a lot when I hear that song. So just so many people. There's so many people that I think about when I hear that song. But most importantly, I had no structure for this video podcast thing, so I'm just gonna be rambling the whole time. I think just most importantly, it reminds me of whatever community I had when I was back in Seattle. Like when I listen to it, it doesn't remind me of Filipino Club from Lindbergh High School. When I listen to it, I'm not reminded of all of the multicultural night events or teaching tinikling or singing Rosas Pandan in choir. That's not what I think about. I think about the last time I was genuinely happy with myself and happy with the people that I was surrounded by, and instead of feeling unheard, feeling valued. Oh my goodness, that's so sad. But just that time after graduation, not being around that group was just, it was both very isolating but so freeing. I never felt, I wouldn't say happy, but I was content and I knew myself, and during that time I was really just understanding how my heart felt and like what I think would have been good for it, and getting to talk to so many people when I couldn't do that before without having to worry about other people's opinions or worrying about how they felt, and if I had to lay myself down so that they could feel better, so that they were happy. So I think that's why it's so important that I think about that time. Anyways, and then I moved here, and I remember that first week. I feel very lucky because a lot of the people around me have said that it took them so much longer than a week to feel like they were really in the right place. But I feel very lucky that it was only like a week, but I remember it being the most confusing week ever. And then I remember I was studying one night, and this was the most like monumental thing. I was studying one night and I was having OPM playing in the background, so like a lot of Zach Tabudlo was playing, and then Palagi came up, and I literally sat back in my chair, stopped writing for that stupid Com 100 class that I was taking, commerce. Ugh, gross. But I just sat back and I could feel my eyes welling up, but suddenly it felt like somebody was squeezing my heart and wringing it out, and I was just hit by so many memories of these people and Red Ribbon. And I adored Red Ribbon so much that I had one of the receipts from when I took my server meal, and I had it hung up on my wall, and I was staring at it, and I just started sobbing. And so much emotion was coming out of me that I didn't know what to do. But it was hearing that song and realizing that I missed Seattle, even though this place has brought me so much pain and hurt. But it reminded me of good things. That song reminded me of good moments and being grateful for that time where I wasn't in school and wasn't surrounded by the people that I had already known, but with people that I wanted to impress, people that I knew I brought joy to their life, regardless of anything else anybody else was doing. They always saw me as happiness. That is what I think about. And I remember in the middle of the song, I had to pause it because I couldn't listen to the rest of it. And it's not a very long song. It's specifically the version of DJ Monterde and, oh my goodness, sorry, him and Gazy Tandingan, the one where they're singing together, that version. Because that's the one that my ate likes, and that's the one that she played. So I'm very attached to that version and not any of the other ones ever. I couldn't listen to the rest of it. I paused it in the middle and I just couldn't stop crying. It was so uncontrollable and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I called Geddy, and he's younger than me and very much younger brother energy. So he didn't help very much, but I called him and he couldn't really help me. But I couldn't stop sobbing. So I called Devin Bonavang Santos after. I was like, okay, I have to go, Geddy. I called him after, and I'm so grateful for him because every time I talk to him, it's just, there's so much love and so much adoration for the person that he is and how much I felt appreciated whenever he was around. So I called him. I called Filipino people specifically. I called him and he was so reassuring. And he was like, I'm always going to be here for you. We don't end up talking ever again after that, actually. Like, there have been a couple texts here and there, and he was like, I'm gonna check up on you, but he never did. But that doesn't matter because I still value him a lot, and I'm really grateful for his help that night because I was hearing that song and I was like, I felt homesick because I couldn't find any other Filipinos around me. I was like, where the dang Filipinos at? Because up until this point, the only friends that I had made were white, or I say that like it's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I'm very grateful for my white friends that I made when I first got here. But they were the only people that I could see. And my heart was yearning for something more benign. And after like working at Red Ribbon, I had such a deep, profound love for my culture. Not that I didn't before. I was literally Filipino club president and doing all that stuff, but being surrounded by a Filipino community during that time was just a given for me. Like, Filipino people they were going to be there and we were always going to be connected because it's such a Filipino city, you know? Anyways, and I still lived with my family, so my heart was my culture, The food was always there, and it was never American food. It was always Filipino food. And so my heart has always been in my culture. But I didn't start like really practicing my Tagalog until I started working at Red Ribbon, and then I would be speaking it every day and getting to know my coworkers and getting to know the customers that were coming by really helped me out, and it really encouraged me to keep speaking and actually speaking Tagalog. Yeah, because I wouldn't do that before. But I always made sure that I didn't forget what things meant. Like, my parents always spoke Tagalog at home, so I could definitely understand it. I'm very fluent in understanding, but when it comes to speaking, I have very limited vocabulary, I think. And starting at Red Ribbon, I was like, okay, Ma'am Gina, please slow down. please. But by the time I stopped working there, I could say that I was fluent. And that really helped me when I first got here. Not really, because I didn't find any Filipinos, but later on when I got here. Anyways, and when I first saw the center ever, when we were visiting here for the first time, I was like, oh, that looks abandoned. It looks like no community is here anywhere. But I ended up like passing by the center at least 3 times a week now. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Where was I? But I just got so lucky in life after that, because I kept seeing Filipinos popping up and ended up like talking to them. And the first ever Filipino that I opened up to, well, I was literally out with the first friends that I had ever made here, and it was at Marshall's at Hillside, and it was at the Jaki. She was in one of the aisles, and I heard her speaking Tagalog to somebody, and I was talking to her, and my heart just felt so light. It was so heavy, and I felt like, I don't know, everything was just lighter, and I felt like I was floating, and I was so happy, because up until that point, up until I had moved, I was only surrounded by Filipino people. I was only surrounded by Red Ribbon, Jollibee, Chowking, Seafood City. And those are all of the people that I was with. And the only people that I was going on dates on were Filipino, and they only spoke Tagalog. There was no English at all. But hearing all of that, I just, oh my goodness. I felt like my heart had opened up, like it had shed something. Like, that was the first time where I felt like everything was going to be okay. Oh my goodness. I say this as I'm wearing my UPC shirt. This is so fitting. But it was at the Jaki. So imagine my shock when I see her months later at a Maria Cacao rehearsal, and I'm like, you? Hello? And so when I first met her at the Marshalls, I was like, yeah, parang walang Pinoy dito. Ate, I cannot find anyone anywhere. And she was like, girl, ang daming Pinoy dito. You have to look. And I'm like, I'm just realizing her saying that is the reason why I went to that UPC orientation that day. For context, that is the most important day of my life, because after that, I went home and I was researching Filipino communities, because she told me to go look. She was like, you have to go find them. They're just hidden. So I was Googling. I was like, where are the Filipinos in Victoria? And obviously I found Coastline Ignite Church. all of the churches, because that's being Catholic at the time. Obviously that's where you're gonna find a Pinoy. So I searched those first, but I was a little wary because I was I was still rocky in my faith at that point. I'd just gotten out of church choir at St. Stephen's, which, if you don't know, kind of traumatizing. So I was very wary and very cautious about doing all of that. But the other thing that came up on a Facebook post, the jankiest looking flyer I've ever seen in my life, was a UPC orientation. So I clicked on it and I registered and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna go. And I ended up going. And should I tell the whole story? It's almost 30 minutes already. I ended up going. I found community. I'll tell the story. Okay. So I went in and there was so many people. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And the first person I talked to was Ate Melissa, actually. Super fitting. Hello. So I was walking around and I was like, okay, free food. So I walked to where they usually have the food. So it's that mirror next to the storage. With the tables of just Tim Hortons. So I make my way over and I'm like, and Ate Melissa's smiling at me and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm home right now. I love Ate Melissa so much. And I was like, hey, gutom lang ko. What? I said, gutom lang po ako, ate. And she was like, yeah, go lang. May donuts dito, B. And my heart was so full. And immediately, no. I'm not going to say everything was okay. I was still nervous because I hadn't really talked to anyone at that point. At least not anyone from my culture. And I felt like I was losing my Tagalog at that point. So, this is very strange for me. Yeah, so she was the first one I talked to. And I think maybe Tita Laila, but I'm not too sure. Anyways, so I was looking for a seat. And coincidentally, I sit right behind the window in front of me. And the two people are Milo and Ienelle. It was so funny. And and they ended up naturally inviting me to an AB event that was happening the same night. It was an art build at Cafe Fantastico, which is like a 20-ish minute walk from Bayanihan. This is important for later because, anyways, wait, no. So I ended up talking to them, and it's really sweet. And Ienelle is wearing this beautiful, like, I don't remember what it was, like a mix between, I think it was a Filipiniana. I'm not too sure, but it was beautiful. And I was sitting behind these two, and they were so chatty, obviously. And they invited me to the art build for AB. And I also ended up meeting Kuya Kenny that night because I won a rice bag, like a huge, like an actual, like a full-on rice sack. And a sack of cereal. Cheerios, but it's not sweet at all. It's literally just in Cheerio shape and doesn't taste like anything. And yeah, I met Kuya Arvin that night naturally because he was presenting, he was speaking. The girl next to me was from a church and I got her number, but I never texted her. But as they were cleaning up, that's when I started talking to more people because Milo and Ienelle had to leave early to set up for AB. I'm guessing. That's not what they said, but that's when I'm guessing what happened. So they left, and I was still a little shy, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to a couple of people. And Kuya Kenny was there that night, and we ended up chatting, and I was like, okay, hello. And he invited me. He didn't invite me, actually. No, he was speaking for JL Church, but he got my Facebook that night, and ever since then, he's up until now, he has still been texting me, coming to church, telling me to come to church, telling me to come to life group and study the Bible and be with the Lord. And I also met, what is her name? I forgot her name. Oh no. Eve, at the Eve that night. At the Bayanihan, everything. So those are the people that I met that night. And it was just so beautiful. And that was the first time where the Roshena that most of you know now, that's where she came from. It was that night, and just being so excited and so happy and getting to talk to these people that it was just bursts and bursts of energy, and that's who I am. But that was the first time that had ever come out. That's a lie, but come out in Victoria. And I was tying that back to Red Ribbon because I was always like that in Red Ribbon every day, getting to talk to people. Anyways, so after that, I went to that AB event. But keep in mind, it's a 20-minute walk from Bayanihan, right? And I had this bag of rice with me and my cereal bag. But it was okay. I was gonna make it. I was gonna make it work because I was invited to this thing and I was gonna go. And I'm too early. This is before they even set up the event. Naturally, everybody was late because AB, I think, is just known for being late all the time. But it's okay because that meant that I ordered a coffee using my mom's credit card and being stressed out about it because it was an $8 coffee, and I was like, I am unemployed and I've just used up like a fifth of my budget for this month. But it's okay. I sat down and there's a white man next to me and I'm still feeling super chatty. So I'm talking to this guy and I don't remember what I said, but it was, I don't know. I'm just thinking about all of my first conversations in Victoria and actually really talking to people and not just being like, hello, sweet afternoon, welcome to Red Ribbon, how can I help you? But just really talking to these people. And he was such a sweet, cute old man. We were talking about Seattle because I was like, I'm from Seattle. And he was talking about Pike Place and just everything. And he was so sweet. And he's lived on the island for like 50 years. So, yeah. And then magically, the whole AB group walks in and Ienelle spots me immediately. And I'm low-key a little like, oh, okay, it's happening now. But I'm gonna keep talking to this guy until they're done setting up. And Ienelle doesn't approach me. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, she hates me. But she approaches me later on, so it's okay. But the rest of the night was just so beautiful. I got to talk to so many people that night. I met Eileen. We bonded over both being from Washington State. And I was like, yeah, I'm from Seattle. You're from Seattle? And she was like, yeah. yeah, are you from the heart of Seattle? And that's the first time where I'm like, no, I'm not actually from Seattle. I'm from Renton. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm from Bellevue, which is more well known than Renton, I think. But, you know, I just think it's funny that we bonded over that. Anyways, I had to talk to her. I don't talk to Milo as much, and I wish I did. And because I really love talking to Milo at By Any Hunt, because I don't know, I feel like Milo and I have very similar energies. Um, they're so knowledgeable. um, they're so wise. But I talked to Eileen, but the first person that I talked to that I'm super inspired by is Jerika. Jerika used to live on the island, but now she lives in Vancouver, I'm pretty sure. And I always I always think about her with so much love, and I remember her with so much love, and I'm so happy when I think about her. I love Jerika and adore her so much. I miss her so much. And I remember when she moved, I had a very big problem of not responding to my DMs. And that night when she texted the Anakbayan group chat on Instagram, when they still had an Instagram group chat, she texted, and I was like, oh my god, she's leaving me. So I texted her saying like, thank you, and you were the first person that I really talked to at that art build, and it was so valuable, and I just think about you and my heart gets happy. Kind of thing. I don't know, it was a really long message. I don't remember what I said, but it was very sweet, and she inspired me that night to respond to all of my Instagram DMs. Anyways, back to when I first met her, she was so sweet, and people in Victoria are very, very open. They're always, from the get-go, they're like, let's be friends. I want to know everything about you. Island things are so strange. But she suddenly was like offering her apartment to me. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I will let you know after this term if I still need to look for housing. She was so sweet. And that was when I was like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing the vibe. I'm seeing what Victoria people are like. Everyone is so open and willing to talk to me. This is very strange. And now they're offering me their apartments and everything. And she was also like, yeah, we should go to this place together one time. And I was like, where is this coming from? Anywho, I was talking to her. And then conversation was over, and she walked over to talk to Nathan, who is he's an older guy who is also an organizer. I only know that he's in the tenant organization thing, but he's very sweet. I love Nathan. Yeah, that's who she went to go talk to. And then I bumped into this girl. Her name is Cam. She writes poetry. She's so amazing, so beautiful, so inspiring. But I also talked to Sophia that night, and that was so precious because I love Sophia so much. And we were just painting posters together, just talking and being together and bonding over musicals. And I drew, this is so crazy, I drew a flower that night on parchment, and I took a picture of it, right? And then the first flowers that I've ever received from another person as a romantic gesture looked exactly like that flower that I painted that night. It was so crazy. And the flowers that I received from that person was my neighbor in Cluster, and I received it like a week after that. I was sick, and he confessed that he'd fallen in love with me. I was sick, and he brought over flowers and soup and a can opener because I randomly stopped in one day, and this was the first time I had ever talked to him, but I saw him walking out of our cluster building, and I was like, oh my gosh, you live here? Quick question, do you have a can opener? And so he gave me all of those things that day. Anyways, back to the art build. I talked to Nathan after I talked to Sophia, because Sophia goes up and she has to sing a couple songs. Oh, she's so great. And yeah, I ended up talking to Nathan. It was a very productive conversation. I think that was the last conversation I had that night. All the other things were just like not like deep convo. Oh my gosh, this is 40 minutes long. This is literally a podcast. Hello. I should be writing my emails right now. Anyways, we took the first AB photos and I was added to the Discord that night and I saw the photos and I got home because Sophia actually offered me to drive me home. It was so sweet because I was fully just gonna be on the bus with this heavy sack of rice and cereal on me. But she drives me home and it's the sweetest thing ever. And I get home and I sit on my couch and I'm like just so content with how the day went and realizing that there is a community, which is a very big difference from when I was studying this was like a couple nights before when I had that crash out listening to palagi in my dorm room with the most ambient lighting and sobbing my eyes out and desperately calling the other Filipinos back in Seattle, being like just yearning for everything. So listening to that song now always brings me back to that night when I was in my room sobbing. And then I eventually like build up the strength to fully listen to that song, but even then I still sob. Well, not sob, but I still like tear up when I hear that song. And then comes the bayanihan like inauguration meeting question mark. I'm pretty sure I still had a crush on Sean at this point. And it's almost the anniversary of when that happened. Oh my goodness. So it's the inauguration, you know, when Eileen got inaugurated for the board. So up until that point, the only connection I had to this song was through me and my own experiences, and I hadn't, like, it wasn't playing outside of my dorm. But then the inauguration like ceremony happened, and then because it's Bayanihan, there's a whole like eating fest right after, and they were playing background music, and then I remember I know the people around me already knew that I had a crush on Sean. And this was before I found out that he had a girlfriend. So they were still like, oh my gosh, that's Rashanda's future bae. Well, true now, but like back then it was definitely not true. Sean was in the circle and I was talking with everyone, and Eileen was next to me, and Sean joins the group. And Eileen is so funny because just everyone in my life, whom she hasn't met yet, she's so great at greeting them. She like walks up and she's like, you must be Roxanne's family. Are you Roxanne's dad? Hi, I'm Eileen. And that day I saw it. I was like, for the first time, she was like, you must be Sean. She was like, you must be Sean. Hi, I'm Eileen. That was so crazy. Anyways, so they were playing background music and palagi plays. And my heart stops beating because I forget that other people also know this song. And Sean starts singing, and I swear to God, I fell in love. No. In the moment, I was like, I think I did fall in love. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the man. And I was like, you know this song? And he says, yeah, of course I do. And at this point, I don't think he speaks Tagalog. Like, I've only heard him speak Bisaya up until then. And I'm like, do you even know what they're saying? I don't ask that, but he's singing the song and I'm like, wow. And I think I'm about to cry because like it's such a huge song for me. It's the song that ties every connection, every Filipino connection to my heart. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. When I think of happy Filipino, I think of palagi. So I'm making this podcast. I've gotten so off topic now. This is so terrible. I bring this up because I was listening to Multo, and then I play all these versions of palagi, and then I was just crying whenever I started this video. So like almost an hour ago now. Almost 15 minutes ago. I was listening to a bunch of versions, and then one of the YouTube shorts is a man playing palagi as the bridal's march. Is that what it's called? You know, when the bride walks in and some people like change up the song instead of dun 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 dun. Is that what it is? Oh well, anyway. So he was playing palagi instead, and I just cried about it. It's been 15 minutes, but you know what I mean. So that's why I'm making this video, because I need to get it out there that this song is so special to me. It's not just my most played song of 2025. It's also a song that is so dear to my heart. And even like Tell Me Where It Hurts by MYMP is my favorite song, but it does not have as much of an emotional impact on me than Palagi does. Even though I've known that other song for much longer, I don't have a specific memory to connect it to. Like, Palagi will always have those moments in that Cybertruck, but also being the song to set me off in my dorm room for the first time. And I was struggling to cry, I remember, giving the holiday. I was struggling to cry, but that night everything just came out, and I had never felt so homesick in my life. And I remember after calling all of those people, I was so drained and so exhausted, but I could hear my roommate in the kitchen, and I went out to go talk to her because she's such a yapper and I love talking to her. Her name is Chloe. I went out and I go talk to her, and I'm like, hey girl, how do I not feel homesick? And she gives me this whole pep talk, and I have it in my journal over there of what she said to me, and it was so amazing. And she was like, just go out there, go talk to people, Um, and you'll get over it. That's not what she says, but it's a lot more motivating than that. Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah. Just this song is so important to me. I want everyone to know. Yeah, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm having this moment on this couch and getting to talk about all of this. Yeah. And it's so crazy because Ate Elisa at Coastline just posted her anniversary post with Andre on her Instagram, and she's using this song on it, and I'm like, is that your song? Because I low-key think that's me and Sean's song too. I think. Sean, you let me know if that's correct. But yeah, it's just, I have so many memories with the song, and then that YouTube short came up and I just started bawling my eyes out. And that's why I'm making this video, because I want you all to know. I'm so grateful for all of the connections that I have here and just everyone that I've been able to talk to. And I trace it all back to that moment in my bedroom crying, and also hearing at the Jaki that one night. I trace it all back to those 3 moments, talking to her, crying after palagi, and then also researching Filipino communities, because I've met all of those communities now that I was searching up. I had like 12 tabs open with just every single Filipino community possible. And I now know all of them, and except the one at St. Andrews, because I never went back to Catholicism. While being here, I've only been to the Catholic Church, I think like twice, 3 times maybe. But I always go when I'm back in Seattle. But yeah, I know all those people now, and I've even gotten so many more other connections other than the ones that I was searching up that night. And I'm so grateful, and I feel so happy, and I'm glad that I get to share this on video, even though I don't know if any of you guys are gonna listen to it, because it's literally almost an hour long. Please have it in the background of whatever you do. It's so great, I promise. But yeah, I really love that song. It's not just my most played of 2025. There's a reason why it's my most played of 2025, because it was my favorite song, and I would play it every day, and I would never get sick of it. And then I wasn't playing it once I got to Victoria, because that just wasn't the people that I was surrounded by, but also like so many things were happening in my life that I just wasn't listening to music at all until I was studying that one night, and I was like, I think I need music to study. So yeah. Yeah, that song is just very dear to me. And it's not going to be on my most played this year, which is really sad, because I'm just not listening to it as much, but it's okay. That's all right. Okay, I love you guys so much. It is almost an hour long, 54 minutes. I've been yapping for that long. Hello. I don't even know if most of this video podcasting is even valuable, but I hope this is great background music for all of you students that are studying, or you just want to hear somebody yapping in the back. Okay. Great podcast. Love you all so much. Yeah. Goodbye. I love you.